Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to another episode of Channel Your Light, Own Your Intuitive. Apparently this moon we have a lot of channels coming out. If you have not caught the last one, please catch that. It is describing the differentiation and the understanding between the full moon rising in the sun sign and the moon sign that is also rising in as well, and how both sides of the coin or both sides of the spectrum to better attune with what's happening in our inner world and also what's happening in our outer world. So it's kind of exciting to look at it from those two aspects to get a broader picture, I'm hearing. So I'm continuing on with my 4 a.m. meditation that I never got to in the last channel, and I trust that that was not meant to be. Spirit wanted to talk about a whole lot of other things. This one, we're going to dive into the meditation. And we're not meditating together at this time, but feel free to catch any of the quantum healing meditations, energy replenishing meditations on the channel. You can just scroll through and find all kinds of them, find the one you are drawn to or sticks out. But I want to talk to you about what happened in my own personal meditation, which is something I don't usually share, obviously because it's personal, but I was specifically shown this not just for me. I was shown this for a lot of people who will attune to it, specifically those who feel like they're a late bloomer. So I'm wondering if it's easiest for each of you to kind of just breathe into this with me, because it's a lot of imagery. There's a ton of symbolism, omens, deeper esoteric understandings. In addition, I'm being told that sometimes, I'm being asked to share this because there will be different signs and synchronicities for different people in this that will attune to your soul's knowing that it is both a message for you, but it's coming from the top is what I'm hearing. This is a message coming from the top is what I'm hearing. The very tippy top, says Ava. So lean in, breathe, settle your energy, perhaps just close your eyes and listen and envision it with me, whatever your process is. Follow it, tune everything else off, everyone else's thoughts, opinions, our to-do list, just turning them off. That's what we do, right? We turn those things off when we have the opportunity to. And I'm being told sitting in silence presents us with the opportunity to listen. For all of you late bloomers, and you may not feel you are a late bloomer, however, I suspect that term will be heard, seen, and felt. In this meditation, we were in the mountains at a temple. And in the temple, in the mountains, there are different temples located in different coves or caves in the mountain. And this place is home to me. It feels like home. I feel like I naturally belong there. I feel like I have been there for millennia. So when I'm there in this, it's in the congregation room in the community temple, because not all areas of the temple are for community gatherings, but we're in the community gathering, and at the very far front of it, between two pillars, is like a tomb. It's almost like Egyptian tombs where you would see them taller, encased, made of stone. So that is a specific reference for those of you who attune to Egypt. Laying on the stone was a mummy, and not a mom per se, but a mummified individual. And as they lay there, a director that was standing there, but they were a light being. There wasn't like a physical person standing there. And everyone else was kneeling. They were on their knees and just sitting gently, watching, I want to say the spectacle, but it was not a spectacle. Rather, it was almost like a test. Some people viewed it as a test, like, oh, we're testing this out, let's see what happens. Other people were viewing it with sacred reverence and understanding. there was just all these different emotions of all the different people who were sitting there. So the mummy that's on the tomb, ancient, it's almost like the mummy, we looked at it and we're like, there's no possible way that something could have rebirthed out of the mummy. There's no possible way. And everybody went through these different things. Some people were like, well, maybe it wasn't strong enough to break out of the mummification. It was ancient, it was old, it was dusty, it was so hard that it wasn't like you could push on it and soft like the fabrics they would have used. It looked like it should have been broken out of, I want to say, 5,000 years ago, but it wasn't. It was still there. And the people in the room, I'm being told, never give up. There are a specific subset of souls. They're here for a very specific reason, even though some of them attune to it as a test. Some of them look at it with reverence. Some of them think it is impossible. It doesn't matter. Everybody's kind of there in anticipation of what's happening with this mummy. And it was a feminine energy. And don't confuse that with male or female, because there's a lot of masculines or males with some dominant feminine energy. And perhaps this is explaining the rebirth of the feminine energy within some masculines. So please don't attune it to male and female. Rather, just go with the polarities of the energy, masculine and feminine. For the purposes of this, I will describe the mummy as feminine. That is the energy that it felt like. You will notice the synchronicities and connections with the actual physical 3D world when you attune to it, to that feminine energy as well. So everybody's looking at this mummy. It's so hardened, it's so blackened, it's so gray, it's so dingy on the outside. It looks like if you touched it, it would crumble into ash. It's that old, but it's not. It's actually, when you touched it, it was so hard. It was like a rock. Like nothing was breaking out of that unless it was the Hulk, is what I'm seeing. You would need the Hulk, a reference to the Marvel characters, in order to break this mummy open. So we're all sitting there in anticipation, and we're all watching and waiting. And the director pulls out a knife and cuts down the very center from the very top all the way down. And the mummy is in the shape of a physical human 3D body. That's how it's hardened. And slices it all the way down the middle, from the top of the head all the way down right to the tips. And do you know what came out of this mummy? Hundreds of baby blue butterflies fluttered up and out into the room. And in this room, in the cave, the ceilings are 18, 24 feet high. They're very, very high, 30 feet, 32, I'm hearing 36, 48. We could probably keep going, but we'll just leave that there. They're very high ceilings. And all of these baby butterflies just gently fluttered out now that they had been freed. And we all looked up in awe. We didn't expect that. Like, that's beautiful. Look at all the baby butterflies from one mummy. And then the director took his hands and opened it further, cracked it open, pulled it open with the energy. And up and out of the mummy came a huge, beautiful, morpho blue butterfly. It was so huge that it was bigger than the ceilings in the room and all the people. It filled the whole place. Now, it's important for you to know the doors to this place are sealed. This is not, I'm being told to reference this, this is not for everyday people to see this birth or rebirth or regeneration. It is sealed. It's sealed in the mountains. It is not something where the butterfly flaps its wings like the regular butterfly story we hear. The regular butterfly story is, the butterfly struggles to get out of its cocoon, and it needs that struggle, because if it doesn't have the struggle to get out of it, oftentimes it dies when someone tries to help it. So here's the messaging of this. When that blue morpho butterfly filled the whole room, you could hear everyone in awe. The sound of the universe came out of all of their mouths in every level, in every step, in every, I'm hearing every sound frequency was acknowledged in that room, in that moment. Nobody expected this cocoon or mummy, ratified mummy is what I'm hearing. Nobody expected that to come out of this old ancient mummy that everybody thought would have been done, wasn't strong enough to get out, probably died in the struggle. No one expected this. It was just like, I don't even know the bliss, shock, awe, divinity that was in this moment of all of us seeing this enormous blue morpho butterfly. And here's where it's fascinating. When we think about the story of the butterfly and how they struggle to get out, and then they get out, they let their wings dry, and then they fly away. So they move from the caterpillar into the rebirth. This individual, and I'm saying individual because I feel like this is a direct reference to somebody's journey. I also feel like it's a direct reference to the concept or idea that we allow people to come to their own understanding. We allow people to struggle because we don't want to help them, and then end up they don't get to have a rebirth because we help them. That is true for some souls. That's part of their soul plan, is they are intended to struggle because it's the most empowering. I also wish to identify this. That butterfly in the cocoon, and this feminine energy, spent thousands of years mummified in the dark. She did not just rebirth within that casing, in that cocoon. She then gave birth. She had a rebirth. She then gave birth to hundreds of baby caterpillars who also within this cocoon then went through their own rebirth with her in the darkness. She never could have gotten out of the mummy or the cocoon. And it's not because she needed to struggle. It's not because she would die if somebody helped her. There are some butterflies and some souls who require another to open the cocoon, to help them in the struggle so that they do not die. So here is this mummy, late bloomer, who was assumed that, they're just not waking up. Think about this, friends. They're just not waking up. They're not getting their shit together. They're all over the place. They're not grounded. They're not this. They're not that. We tend to put labels on people when they don't align with the timeline that we think that they should. But this could not be further from the truth. The idea that this butterfly was a late bloomer was wholly incorrect. Late according to the constructs of man, or the linear understandings of time, or late when you measure it against the status quo of what all of the other butterflies are doing. To the eyes of man, they are late. To the eyes of the divine, they are not late at all. They are right on time for shock and awe, for understanding and inspiration. Usually those who are late bloomers are not late. They just require more darkness, more nurturing, more rest, more diving deep into all of those beautiful rebirths. You'll notice that she birthed hundreds of baby blue morpho butterflies, hundreds of them within this cocoon that most people would have said, oh, she's late, or oh, she's not blooming, or oh, she didn't struggle enough, or oh, just leave it there, don't help her. Oh no. If the director did not come in and open up that cocoon, no one would ever have been able to see the brilliance of the late bloomer, the magnificence of it. When I say magnificent, it doesn't even begin to describe the feeling in that room, the awe of this group of subset of souls, nor the iridescent light frequency coming off of this blue butterfly. She had to be cut out to free her babies, to free all her birthing of her ideas. In essence, I kind of want the divine to take over from here to give this explanation, because a lot of times, I know for me, there are people who I've dealt with in the past who believe that you allow somebody to come to the answers on their own. And I do believe that's true. However, I have done it both ways in my intuitive guidance sessions, and not because Erin decided I should do it that way, but rather the divine was guiding it. So some people require that cocoon to be cut open, and other people do not require that cocoon to be cut open. Their strongest, most brilliant rebirth happens when they struggle on their own. And yet there are others, late bloomers, who if the director didn't come in and open that up and allow the babies out, she was too tired, she was too exhausted, and the mummy had become so hardened that she couldn't possibly have struggled enough to open it. She would have died in the struggle. And that was not her purpose. Her purpose was to shine. Her purpose was to be revealed. Whoever this late bloomer is, you are not late. It is never too late. This is perfect divine timing. Don't ever let anyone tell you that you should have gone somewhere or done something or been at a certain point by now, because the people who are giving that opinion is based on the linear constructs or their idea or belief system about what that timing should be. And guess what? Divine timing, they're saying we do not care about linear man time. We are operating on divine timing, which means there is no one that is late and there is no one that is too early. You will notice the butterfly that sprouts in the seasons where it is too early also dies. I'm also being referenced of somebody who broke out of their cocoon really early and made a lot of mistakes. It's like you're the butterfly, and this is a green butterfly. You broke out of the cocoon in your anxiousness to get out of it, but the cocoon hadn't given you the nourishment that you needed or the wisdom or the understanding, nor did you experience the struggle required in order to make things easy for you. I'm being told to tell you it's okay that it appears that it was too early. It was too early, but in truth, for your soul, it was not too early. You fell down multiple times. You got raindrops all over your wings. You got your little feet stuck into the mud. You went everywhere and you've got tatters on your wings and you have to rest and fix them. I'm hearing a reference of kind of like if you would look at things like baby souls, regular souls, wise souls, or ancient souls. And I don't like to use that differentiation because it doesn't really attune to how I view it, but it's almost like, think about it in childhood, right? If you have the inner child who's like gung-ho to be here. Yes, I want to explore. Yes, I want to do this. Yes, I want to do that. Completely oblivious of the dangers. They just want to go. And then you have the mother who's like the nurturer and trying to take care of things and making sure they get what they need and they get what they need. And hold on, my friend, you're going too early. You need to be mindful of this. You need to be mindful of that. There's that aspect too. And then you have the grandmother who's totally reserved or out of the way of the child, who simply gets to appreciate the wonder and awe of the child once again without having to be in the state that the mother is in. So you could look at it in that aspect as well, and being told that's for somebody whose grandmother basically is like a soulmate who loved you unconditionally when perhaps you felt your family or your mother was not giving you what you needed. That's a reference for that as well. So I'm being told very clearly, you are not a late bloomer. You are right on time. And whoever this message is for, don't be afraid of being older, getting old, that it's too late of a stage in the game. No. It's not too late in the game. You're not blooming late. You are blooming right on time, because look at all the baby butterflies you birthed in the process. Most butterflies who are according to the linear constructs of man's time or expectations or measurements, they don't birth 100 little baby blue morpho butterflies, do they? And they're not the size of the freaking room, the cathedrals. They're not the size of that. They don't even compare to that. So the idea that you're late is wholly a regular old butterfly's perception or lens or box or construct, however you wish to label it. The blue morpho butterfly, again, you guys, I don't have words to describe the feeling. It's more than a feeling. It's more than a feeling of in that room Nobody expected that. It was shocking. And I'm hearing, do you see? That's what we mean by nobody gets left behind. It doesn't matter how long your cocoon has been there. There are people who need their cocoons, need help to get out. Struggling is not how they're going to survive or live or thrive. They need help, a helping hand. They need somebody to listen with wisdom, understanding when the cocoon needs to be cut open. Think about, I'm being shown cesarean sections. There's somebody on here, you had a C-section giving birth, and there's some kind of like a shame or a guilt around that. And I'm hearing it's just like birthing babies, Mom, says Ava. It's just like birthing babies. Some babies need to struggle coming through the birth canal. That's their contracted way to enter into this world. Other babies need to have a C-section or they will die. Do you see how both are intrinsically needed? It's the same with helping others who are struggling. It is also the same with cocoons. A butterfly of that size is very, very rare. That took a tremendous amount of patience. It took a tremendous amount of seasons. It took a tremendous amount of understanding. It took a tremendous amount of darkness to create a butterfly of that magnificence. And to come with a whole host of baby butterflies is literally unheard of, coming out of a cocoon. So you, my late bloomers, you may attune to the baby butterflies as different pieces of wisdom. It might be projects you're working on. Maybe you've got 15 projects on the go. Maybe it is the culmination of all the places you have been in life. This is the final stage, I'm hearing for some of you, of putting all those little pieces and all those little baby butterflies into understanding. And I'm seeing the fox. There's a reference for your fox of think on your feet. I'm also seeing the coyote, trust in divine detours. Some of you might attune to the baby butterflies as being all the random divine detours that were not random at all. They were one of your baby butterflies. And now that you are all out of the cocoon, into the light of the room, into the spectacle and revealing of all other people, you finally get to see what you were birthing, all of your baby butterflies, all the jewels and diamonds and pearls that you were accumulating in that darkness, in that struggle. I'm also being told, rest, rest, rest. Somebody here really, really needs to rest, like big time, deeply. So who's the blue butterflies on here who have felt like you're a late bloomer, who have felt like there are so many things or so many places? And I'm hearing it's like you kept getting up to get out of the cocoon, but it kept pushing you back down. It just got harder and harder and harder. So just know that if you're in the throes, you will emerge. And if you've just emerged, be in awe of yourself. Be in awe of the journey. See all the different puzzle pieces coming into the beautiful rainbow eye now. No longer is there an eyelash piece that's stuck down by the cheek. And no longer is the center of the eye up here on the eyebrow. It's like all the pieces start to make sense. So it's like the rebirth, coming out of the cocoon and rebirthing all of these things. All of these nuances, subtleties, metaphors, all those different aspects. They're all in there. And of course, the baby butterflies are like the baby puzzle pieces that nobody knows they're there because they've been hidden in the dark until you crack it open. So I'll be so curious to know how these references and this illumination I'm hearing from the meditation that I had about the butterfly, it was magnificent to watch. I'm not gonna lie. Absolutely, like I cried. It was so magnificent with tears rolling down my cheeks in the meditation. It was exquisite. It was exquisite. So I'm curious to know who's a late bloomer, because boy, are you going to bloom so loudly, so proudly, so beautifully, so magnificent, and so exquisite. And all the time that you have had to be traversing in the dark, this is why. So I'm wishing you all a beautiful day, evening, whenever you're catching this. Happy full moon in the sun sign of Sagittarius. And fly, butterfly, fly. You know what song is playing? Bette Midler, Wind Beneath My Wings. I love that. That's very synchronistic. Until next time, beautiful souls.